Good morning, guys. It is a rainy day. We were able to get some hay baled up yesterday, but it doesn't look like a hay day today. I hope maybe I can mow some more this afternoon, and I'll even share what I've been finding out about my new mower. But anyways, I wanted to give you guys a close-up of my skid steer that I just purchased a few weeks ago. And I had told you how rough it looked. It looked like it was 20 years old, and it sort of does. But just to let you know that a lot of things about this is pretty nice. The cab inside is nice and clean. We have brand new tires and wheels all around. The old wheels must have been pretty rusted. That's why they replaced them. As much as it's rusted, it doesn't seem to have gotten into the machine at all. As far as interior, it's more just exterior. Just show you guys the interior of the motor, and you know, it's quite clean. So I'm happy with that, and hopefully we'll have good luck with this machine. So today I have to saw some more 6x6s. Actually, they're 5.5 by 5.5. We've got some over here. We needed 10 16 footers, 10 12 footers, and 5 10 footers. So it's been a combination of hemlock and tamarack. So these 10 footers, there's a crooked hemlock. This one's a hemlock. This one's a hemlock. This one's a tamarack or larch, and then this one is looks like a long hemlock. But anyways, we'll cut these up into 5x5s, and then at some point all this lumber needs to be edged. Since Brenda is gone, if you've seen our last video, she has actually gone to Scotland with our girls for a vacation, and so since she's gone, edging especially is going to be a little bit more difficult, because to do edgings alone is a lot of work, a lot of walking. But it looks like that's what I'm going to have to do. So we'll at some point have to get this edged up. You can see the tractor's inside. I'll have to move that out of the way. But yeah, it's kind of a dreary day outside. So I'm going to check the oil on here. I just changed the oil the other day on both the Sawmill and on the edger. Our gas is getting a little bit low right there, so I'll have to put some gas in before too long. As you can see on this log, I'm having a little bit of trouble turning it because it's really heavy on the one end, and the turner is not at the halfway point of the log, so I have to use my clamp to help turn this log around and get it clamped where it belongs. So as I said earlier, my customer is wanting 5.5 by 5.5 inch poles for his pole barn, and he also wants a lot of 2 by material for the pole barn also. So it's a little bit tricky, I feel anyways, when I'm cutting 5.5 by 5.5, because at this point here I would normally start in my mind at 5.5 and work my way backwards. So I'd have 5.5, and then I'd have 7 5/8, and then I'd have 9 3/4. So that's where I would start at that 9 3/4 mark and cut down 2-inch ones to end up at the 5.5. But I don't like to cut it down to 5.5, because then any boards that are above it are going to be 5.5 inches wide, and there'll be a lot more waste. So what I generally do is I'll cut it at 9 3/4, and then I'll go down to 7 5/8, but then I'll stop there and I will turn it so I can take off my last face at that 7.5 inch or 7 5/8 inch wide cant, so that I could still get 2 by 6s out of that. I know this is a little confusing, but for those of you that do have sawmills, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And then I will flip it over and take my last board off the other side to bring it down to 5.5, and that piece will have to be ripped down to a 2 by 4. And so that's why I really don't like to cut stuff 5.5 inches thick and wide, because it kind of messes up all the rest of your wood. So this board that I'm throwing over towards the edger is 7 5/8 inches wide, and that'll have to be ripped down to a 2x6, and the 2-inch one I'm sawing right now is 5.5 inches wide, so that will have to be ripped down to a 2x4. Some people like all their wood cut down to 5.5 inches wide for a 2x6, just like you would buy in a store, but most of my customers want them a full 2x6, so we just have to deal with whatever the customer wants. Okay, so we have only one log left to saw, but before we do that, we have to unload these slabs. The rack is full, and we have to see what this new skid steer will handle with this load of slabs. Okay guys, done with the sawmilling right now. Got all those 6x6s all done. The rest of them are outside. But right now we have to go fix a problem that we had last night. As you can see, we have 2 wagon loads of hay here. Pretty good hay too, considering kind of late cut. But the first load went quite well, but the second load had troubles with. Unfortunately, our friend Jay, as a lot of you guys know of from Abby's channel, our daughter, that has a channel called A Drill and a Dream. Jay has done so much of the work up there working with Abby, and he came down and offered to help me, so I let him do the baling while I did the stacking on the wagon. And as we got to the second wagon load, we broke the kicker, so I had to tow every bale over the edge with, from the kicker without it actually working. So that didn't go very well, but we didn't break, but we messed up a belt. I'll show you here in a second. Before we get to that, we have Bill and Baron on the sled, stone boat, giving them a little exercise. And I have my mower here outside, which I wasn't planning on doing. I was hoping to put it in last night, so I went out and mowed a couple times around the fields before I baled up into hay. Look at that cat way up there. Anyways, I went and mowed some hay, and I've been using this mower a little bit more, and I'm starting to get a little bit more used to it. But I was hoping to mow some more before the rains came. We got a lot of rain last night. I wanted to mow some more before the rains came because the hay is so lodged that the more it rains, the more it gets lodged, and it's just so hard to cut. So this mower has been cutting it, but a lot of it's not being cut because it's lodged. But anyways, I want to show you a couple things that we did do this mower that I feel really helped things out. So when we bought this mower, it had actually just one, let me just pull the section a little bit so we can see it better. Okay, so you can see these red short stub guards. See this? There's 3 of them here. And these are the long rock guards. Well, when we bought this, it just had one stub guard right here, and then it had these are doubles, so it had a double one here. So there's two of the rock guards there and just one stub guard. And I was having quite a lot of trouble plugging up right in this area because my swath board wasn't doing a perfect job of getting the hay away. And this is kind of where the it travels sometimes, and in that swath path, and sometimes it gets plugged up with the hay that's already been cut. And that's what it was doing. So we changed these, and now we have 3 stub guards, and that's made a huge, huge difference in that area of not plugging up. But I was having a little bit of trouble of it plugging up on the very end. So I decided to put 2 more stub guards right there and take out the one double rock guard, and I'm curious to see how that will work. I was hoping to be able to try it last night, of course, but I got tired out. It was like 7:30 before we finally got done baling because of all the troubles we had. So I decided not to go out and mow all night long like some tough farmers do. But anyways, hopefully that will make a big difference and not plug up so much at the end. And that's pretty well the only place that's plugging up right now. But it's obviously cannot cut that lodged hay as well as a hay bind and or a disc bind does. But at least I'm able to go through and cut it. So let me grab this belt and I'll show you what we've got on our baler. It is very muggy today. It's not that warm as temperature-wise, but it sure does seem muggy for us and the horses. Okay, so this belt here goes up here, and what it does is it comes across, it's a V-belt, it comes across, then it turns, has a half turn, and comes across these 2 here at half turns, and it goes back to the regular way here. So it puts a lot of strain on a belt by having these half turns. This is just a shield that was in my way, and it wasn't connected at the bottom. It already broke at the bottom, so I thought, well, maybe that was doing why it was throwing the belt off, because that's what was happening. My belt would go about 1 length of the field, and the belt would fall off. Every time it fell off, then this spring right here, which keeps all the belts tight, would also jump off. And then, of course, the kicker wouldn't work. So after about, I don't know, I bet we put that back on 8 or 10 times. I said, forget it. We took all the belts off and just used this as kind of like a ramp to get up to the wagon, but it's still about 3 feet from the wagon, so it was very difficult to get the bales on. But we did succeed and get the bales everything baled up last night. So I'm going to put these belts back on, and I'll show you what it looks like with the belts on. This is a long belt. It goes on this section here. So I took that off and threw it in here where my twine goes. This is a, what would you call it? A 4-sided belt. It's not a V belt. It's a 4-sided one that goes into this a little bit differently than the V belt. So anyways, I'll get them on and I'll show you what it's like with the belts on. So I'm hoping, before I do get that on, I do hope that's what's going to solve my problem. The belt that I took off was quite worn, but I don't know if it was worn because it was just worn or because of the fact it fell off like 8 times and it got chewed up quite a lot in the process of falling off, and it's of course still spinning. But anyways, I hope this solves my problem, and I won't even know until I get baling again. So I could have I didn't put a lot down for yesterday, and I'm glad I didn't. And the next time I hay, I'm not planning on putting a lot down either, just because our weather is not very good. There's just tiny little pockets of time where we may get the hay dry. And just because I'm working here mostly alone, I'm going to have to be careful not to overdo it. Okay guys, belts are all on. As you can see, this comes around like this, has this half twist or a quarter twist, whatever you want to call it. then it twists again into that pulley, and it twists again coming out of that pulley and into this pulley, and twists again going over that pulley there. And this is a shield that is busted, so I think I'm going to just leave it right there. And yeah, hopefully that should fix our problem, and the kicker will work as it's supposed to work. But we won't know till the next time we put in hay. So let's see about getting these horses around the loop. Nope. Step up. Ah. Oop. Nice step. Well, guys, I thought maybe I'd let you get an update for with Lady. How you doing, girl? I was really starting to question whether she's even going to have a foal this year. And then this morning, I was feeling on her bag, and there's a definite change there. Definite change. So I don't think it's going to be too long. Being she's quite overdue as it is, might not be very long at all, and we'll have a new foal here. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. We'll finish up the video edging a little bit lumber, and but you guys have a great day, and who knows, we could have a video up at any time with Lady having her new foal. At least we surely hope so. Have a good one.